Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime Local News. Earlier this afternoon, Lloydminster fire crews responded to a call for a residential fire. Around 1 o'clock this afternoon, fire crews were on scene at a house on the 51st block of 55th Street where there was a small fire on the main floor.
We had 2 occupants that had exited the building on our arrival. They're being assessed by ambulance at this time as a precautionary measure, and the fire itself will be under investigation at this time.
Saskatchewan is reporting 5 new cases of COVID-19 in the province, bringing the provincial total to 1,609. 3 new cases are in the Northwest region, which is the region that includes Lloydminster and North Battleford. 2 are in the Saskatoon zone. 58 cases are now considered active. 3 people are in hospital, 2 of them in intensive care. 1,527 people have recovered. Now we're Connor Chan. We'll take a look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks very much, Jasmine. Taking a look at temperatures right now, still sitting in that 14 to 15 degree mark. We, of course, did have a little bit of light showers earlier on around that 3 o'clock range, and then we could still see little spurts of rain throughout the evening, though, but nothing major to report on there. So 14, as I mentioned there, so take a look at some other areas around our region. 18 degrees in Vermilion and Marwayne, with 19 in Vegreville, St. Paul, Bonnyville, Cold Lake, and in Lac La Biche as well. 20 degrees in Edmonton right now as we go down into Provost and Macklin. A little bit cooler today, sitting at 15 in Macklin and 17 degrees for Provost, and then 13 degrees for North Battleford, with 17 degrees we see also in Maidstone and Meadow Lake as well. Isle Cross sitting at 20 degrees, while St. Walburg sits at 14. So here's a look at the satellite radar map. As I did mention, we did see some of that shower activity. This is from a couple hours, going from that 4 o'clock range in 4 o'clock range on, excuse me. So that is going to pass, that current there, that little wave there is going to pass our way through Lloydminster. We could still see a little bit of chance of showers, but nothing major, as I said before there. Now, as we take a look at some temperatures overnight, North Battleford 7 degrees with clear skies overnight, going into tomorrow with a high of 22 degrees and a little bit of sun and some cloud coverage there. Cold Lake 7 degrees, clear skies overnight, leading into tomorrow at 21 degrees with some cloud coverage throughout the day. And then for us here in Lloydminster, we could see clear skies overnight and then a little bit more cloud coverage coming in tomorrow to kick off the weekend there with that high of 21 degrees. So here's a look at the next 3 days. We will start to get a little bit cooler as we head into Saturday with some cloud coverage there, with that high of 19 degrees for Saturday. And then we'll see a little bit more sun on Sunday with that high of 14 degrees and a low of 7 degrees. We are going to start to see much cooler mornings for us ahead, but that is a first look at your weather forecast. We'll have more primetime local news after this.
Welcome back. Residents in Recovery is reopening their doors for in-person programming. Jace Mackey spoke with Tyler Lorenz for more details.
Joining me today is Tyler Lorenz from Residents in Recovery, the Executive Director. Thanks for taking some time to talk to me today, Tyler.
You're welcome.
So the big news today that I want to talk to you about is Residents in Recovery recently opening your doors again for some in-person programming. Can you just talk to me a bit about that?
Sure. So back when COVID started back in March, we shut down all day programming here at the center. Sober living clients and community people still took part in our day programming, except it was all virtual over Zoom. So about a month or 2 ago, we opened the programming center up to sober living clients. And then community members participated through Zoom. And then just last week, we opened it back up to the public. We're comfortable that we have the right, checks in place that we can do it safely. We've reorganized the programming rooms. So, we have each house in a row, and then community members also separate as well.
So how important is it to be able to have these meetings in person versus doing it virtually over a Zoom call?
Yeah, it's really difficult doing day programming over Zoom. It wasn't so bad when everybody was on Zoom, but when you have different mediums, it really makes it difficult when you have some people face to face, in person. That conversation tends to take over. and the people that are virtual tend to, kind of be left behind. So, having everybody in the center and taking part just is a way more interactive and supportive environment.
Now, I know you've only been back to doing, in-person meetings like this for the past week or so, but how has it been so far, transitioning back to being in person?
It's been great. We've had some participation already, which is great to see. Our numbers aren't anywhere close to what they were pre-COVID, but I imagine that'll come in time. COVID resulted in a lot of people falling back into active addiction. So, we got to work at getting some of these people back into recovery and then support them through our day programming as well. And that takes, a few weeks or months. So.
And that was something else I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how the opioid crisis has kind of gotten worse during COVID. Overdoses have gone up. Just what do you see, how concerning is that for you? And what do you see as kind of something that should be, what should we be doing as a society? What should governments be doing to try and address this pressing concern?
Yeah, the trend is no surprise to any of us. Anybody that works in the addiction field really saw this coming. You take away virtually all the supports for somebody struggling with addiction for months on end, the result is catastrophic. So, we have a lot of former clients even that, we're working a really strong recovery program. Some of them, over a year clean that relapsed as a result of COVID. And that's just a reality, right? It's really disheartening to see, somebody do so good for so long and then, have something like this, really tear things apart. And then combined with the fact that, a number of programs closed and were closed for months. So, we couldn't get people into detox or into treatment. And some of those programs are just starting to reopen now, so, a lot of the programs in Saskatchewan were closed for 4 months. And, it just blows my mind that that's even possible, because individuals' addiction issues don't just go away as a result of COVID. The isolation and all that really contribute to addiction rather than support recovery for a person. Yeah.
And I know last time we talked, you mentioned a bit about the work that's being done to try and open up a facility in Bonnyville. And I understand even here in Lloyd, there's a big waiting list and you're always in need of donations. But just how difficult is it to try and expand and reach the need of the surrounding community, but with kind of limited resources?
Yeah, it's tough. We have a group of people up in Bonnyville that are really supporting, us to get this going up there. We're just waiting on a hearing with town council to get a development permit approved, and things will be going up there. Realistically, a residence in recovery could easily operate at capacity in virtually every town or city, in Alberta or Saskatchewan. The demand is there everywhere. It's not just, a local thing. Sober living and providing that continuum of care is something much needed for recovery. And it really doesn't exist anywhere else other than on Lloydminster right now. We're starting to see some programs open in Calgary and hopefully some other ones in Saskatchewan. But really this idea of a pre-treatment sober living program is completely new. And so, branching out into other communities and supporting struggling people in those communities while they wait to get into treatment, could happen anywhere.
And just before we go, I understand Residents Recovery actually updated your guys' website. You got a new website. Can you just talk a little bit about maybe what's new with that?
Sure, we just kind of freshened up the look. We had a lot of information on there, and most of it, a lot of it wasn't getting utilized. So we kind of trimmed it down a little bit. We've moved all of our application forms online, to get away from paper copies. Partly a result of COVID, but also it just makes it a lot easier for us as well. So everybody can apply either for day programming or sober living online now, and it just streamlines the whole process. So it's worth a look, and lots of information on there. Our forum page kind of has updates on what we have going on, and what ways that people can support us.
Now here are your stock market prices for today.
Today's oil prices are brought to you by First General Services.
Welcome back. Meat processing plants have been the source of multiple outbreaks in Alberta, most recently at Cargill plant in Calgary. Eric Bay has more on where the beef industry stands after the latest outbreak.
After outbreaks at JBS Brooks and Cargill High River in the spring, the beef industry is still dealing with a backlog of finished cattle. While Calgary's Cargill plant was able to control the virus quickly, producers are still concerned about the fall.
Cow, calf, and backgrounding producers are extremely concerned about the markets that they will be facing this fall and the current depressed market for backgrounded cattle ready to go to a finishing lot. These producers need to be supported.
Producers in Alberta are still able to bid in the Fed Cattle Feed Cost Offset Initiative to help cover costs of feeding cattle that would have been sold weeks before.
This component is a bid process that producers can choose to participate in each week. It will occur online, and participants need an AFSC ID and an AFSC Connect account to place weekly bids.
The offset initiative reduces costs, but it doesn't reduce the backlog, which would be a relief for producers.
While the set-aside program addresses the most urgent need facing our industry with the reduced processing capacity in Alberta and across North America, cow, calf, and backgrounding producers are extremely concerned.
The Calgary plant has continued to operate after controlling the spread. Eric Bay, Primetime Local News.
Now we'll take a look at your egg prices. After recording their best season in franchise history, the Sherwood Park Crusaders might have to think of a rebuild in the near future. Evan Kenny has more in this week's Around the AJHL.
Joining me today for another edition of Around the AJHL is Sherwood Park Crusaders play-by-play man, Brennan Escott. Brennan, thank you for taking this time. First of all, I just want to get your opinion. Where were you when the season shut down? I mean, obviously the Sherwood Park Crusaders built for this huge playoff push, #1 team in Canada. It was obviously a disappointment for the season to end. Just give me your thoughts on it.
They didn't even get to play a playoff game because they had the first round bye as the #1 seed in the North. So it's disappointing on that level, of course, but this team had been built over definitely 2 seasons, not just one, with the idea that the 2020 Junior A National Championship was kind of the goal, and they were well on their way to that. So, just in terms of the amount of guys that they had brought in, the guys that they had graduating through the system, as well as some of the guys that were the top end talents, of course, of the draft eligible Carter Savoy, the Michael Benning. I mean, this was sort of the last kick at the can. for junior A hockey for a lot of these guys. And there was a genuine shot. I don't know if you saw, nor should anybody put too much stock into this, but they did win the vote. The Crusaders won the Twitter vote that the league did, or I believe it was like junior hockey night in Canada kind of a thing. But yeah, this was definitely the year for it to happen. There's been a ton of turnover on the roster since. So they'll be hard pressed to get back to where they were. It's definitely disappointing.
Now, the Crew are going to be losing a number of players, not just 20-year-olds who are graduating on, but different players like Carter Savoy, like Matt Benning, who could be going to university next year. How long does the Crusaders window stay open?
Well, you know what? The Brooks Bandits are never down for too long, and that certainly would have been something to contend with out of the South, as would the Okotoks Oilers and those perennial powerhouses. I think Sherwood Park's trying to establish themselves as a perennial powerhouse, right? They're trying to separate themselves from a middle of the pack team. And there's going to be some residual, some leftover players, some pieces from what they had built up. Your Tanner Fincarix, Jordan Fry is the backup goaltender last year. Likely the incumbent this season, was phenomenal in stretches and certainly exceeded a lot of expectations. So the groundwork is there for them to move forward as maybe more of a winning program. That said, the top end talent that I mentioned, the NHL drafted Carter Gylander, he's off to college next year, as are, in all likelihood, Michael Benning and Carter Savoy, two guys that dominated the league through their entire 16 and 17-year-old seasons. So their window of really was this year. This was the time with their elite talent to get it all done. The approach this offseason kind of shifted a little bit, and they were looking externally, even south of the border prior to the COVID pandemic, for ways to maybe bolster the roster and keep this window open. But last year was definitely, the window was wide open. Now we're looking at maybe another season or two, and we'll see what they're able to recruit based on the fact that, again, they're trying to become more of a perennially successful franchise.
Now, Brendan, with this next year being a developmental season, do you think this could be big for the Crusaders in sort of developing that next wave of all-stars?
It's a good point, and it's a very interesting approach I think the AJ has taken in that sense. And I'm glad that they did, because it gives the chance for some of those up-and-coming players, some of your 16-year-olds or certainly your 17-year-olds who, may have been last cuts last year, for example, who have the ability to play in the league. Well, now you get a longer look and a more of a time for them to sort of assimilate into what the pace of the AJHL is like. And, typically, I know you're a player yourself, Ev, so you won't be surprised to hear it's usually the speed when you're stepping up in competition that seems to be the biggest difference from level to level to level. So if you got a couple of month period here to play in games that allow you to understand that speed, and this is your first couple months in the league, I think that'll be really beneficial for some of the guys that may have otherwise had a longer introduction period to junior A hockey. So very curious how this is going to play out. And I know the Crusaders have a couple guys in their system they'll be taking a long look at during that developmental season.
And now, final question for you, Brendan. Carter Savoy, I mean, it seems like everybody knows who he is. 53 goals this past season. The year before that, he was the AJHL's Rookie of the Year. What can you tell us that we don't already know about him going into this upcoming NHL draft?
Well, in all likelihood, you're going to see him picked somewhere probably near the end of the second, maybe early first round. Michael Benning on the back end shouldn't be too far after that. That's just based on, NHL Central scouting and stuff like that. As far as the player himself, I mean, good gracious, I've never seen anybody score as naturally as Carter Savoy has. And when I first started with the team, that was his first year as well. And there was a lot of hype for those two kids coming out of their club programs in St. Albert's. And, oftentimes you wonder whether they're going to be, because he's only 5'9", right? It's not like he's a big physically commanding guy on the ice. Doesn't matter though for Savoy. He has a nose for the net. He has a shot that I don't think was rivaled by anybody in the AJHL. It's his ability to quick release, it's special. So I think for being a diminutive player, He's going to have that going for him, and he's not afraid to get into those ugly areas of the game too. Battle for the pucks in the corners. So he's somebody that I think can really contribute on the power play. The number one question for me always has been, is Carter going to be able to skate at the next level? But that's something you can definitely develop. You can't develop a shot like Carter Savoy has and had on display when he scored 50-plus goals this most recent season.
Well, Brennan, thank you for taking this time. This was Brennan Escott, play-by-play announcer for the Sherwood Park Crusaders.
Now our Connor Chan will take a look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks very much, Jasmine. Taking a look at temperature, still sitting at that 15 degree mark right now for us here in the border city. But as we make our way out west, 20 degrees in Edmonton and Edson, with 18 degrees for Rocky Mountain House and in Red Deer, along with Whitecourt. 21 degrees also out in Jasper right now, and 19 for Cold Lake, and 14 we see in most of the Saskatchewan areas in North Battleford, Saskatoon, Prince Albert, and in Meadow Lake. Now, as we take a look into northern areas right now, La Loche sitting at 21 degrees with Buffalo Narrows following that same trend there. 20 degrees, in La Ronge, with 22 degrees out in Flin Flon right now. Wollaston Lake sitting at 14 with 19 right now we see out in South End, and up north in the Uranium City, Stony Rapids area, we see a 16 degree mark there. 18 degrees in Slave Lake right now with 14 for Fort McMurray and 17 in Fort Chipewyan. We also see 17 in Grand Prairie with high level also copying in Fort McMurray sitting at 14 degrees. Now, as we look over in the southern areas right now, 21 we see in Lethbridge right now, 24 for Medicine Hat, with 19 degrees for Calgary and 18 degrees in Coronation, and then 22 degrees alongside in Banff. And over in southern Saskatchewan right now, a little bit cooler compared in Kindersley and Swift Current compared to what we see usually. 16 right now for Swift Current, and then 14 right now for Kindersley, with 27 degrees in Moose Jaw, and then Yorkton and Regina both sitting at 26 degrees. Now, as we look over across the country, Edmonton right now at that 20 degree mark with some showers right now. But as we move out further east, Winnipeg with a little bit of sun and cloud mix there at 25. Quebec City at 19 degrees with some sun and cloud mix there. A lot more clouds in Toronto sitting at 28 degrees. 19 degrees in Halifax, and then 16 degrees in St. John, with Vancouver sitting also at 19 right now with some sun and cloud mix. Up north in Yellowknife, we do see that 16 degrees right now, some cloud coverage, and 13 right now in Whitehorse, Regina, as I mentioned, 26 degrees with but they're having some heavy cloud coverage right now. Now, this is what we could see for tomorrow to kick off the weekend there. 21 degrees we'll see mostly around our area here with here in Lloydminster, Maidstone, Vermilion, Marwayne as well as up in the St. Paul, Bonnyville, Cold Lake, Lac La Biche areas as well. We'll see those numbers. 23 for Edmonton tomorrow with 22 degrees for both Vegreville and in Wainwright, as well as in North Battleford. We'll see 21 in Maidstone as well, and then 23 for both Provost and Macklin as well. Now, here's what we could see over the next 7 days. We are going to expect some cloud coverage and some sun mixes throughout the rest of those 7 days. So 19 degrees on Saturday, 14 on Sunday, 16 degrees on Monday with 19 on Tuesday, and then back to 16 degrees for Wednesday, and then 17 degrees we'll see on Thursday with those lows of 7, and then of course 5 on Monday will be fairly cooler with also a 40% chance we could get some showers as well. We usually average around 21 for our high, so we're a little bit below, and then we're averaging 8 for our daytime lows this time of year. That's a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
I'm joined here today with Roger Anderson, the General Manager of Gold Horse Casino. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. Hope the same goes for you.
I'm doing very good as well.
Good.
So with Gold Horse Casino here in Lloydminster, what examples of some safety precautions have you taken to keep residents safe while also still being able to come in?
Well, we follow the Saskatchewan Public Health Authority practices as much as we can. When you come and visit us, we're going to ask you to wear a mask. If you don't have the mask, we can provide a mask, and we also have shields available. Because And we also do, we have plexiglass between machines, between certain workstations. That's for the safety of everything. And we practice the social distancing.
Okay.
We do cleaning. Before and after people go to the machines, or we don't have tables yet, but I can expand more on that. We do deep cleaning when we're closed. We're going to implement a little bit more as we go along.
And has the casino always received lots of support from residents in the past?
Yes, we have. Yes, and it's been very good since we moved to the community. As SIGA moved here, it's been very good and very welcoming.
And since COVID-19, have you noticed that it's been a bit different this year now with support from residents?
Oh, for sure. Like we're still getting people coming back. We're getting new people coming by. The summer, when you open during the summer, you still have travelers in the community. But you know, with the pandemic, with COVID-19, everybody changed. You know, we're still getting people back, but the people that come and visit us are happy with what we put in place. You know, in regards to our practices and safety mechanism, whatever that means, safety measures. So we're doing as much as we can to make sure everyone's safe. The public, our staff, the community. So we're doing what we need to do.
And are there any future plans to do with the casinos with this virus now? Like any changes that you guys plan to do in the future?
If we start opening venues like let's say restaurant or the table games, we have things in place where we will practice the cleaning, we practice the safety mechanism. We do a lot of different things as we go along. We don't have an event center at this time. We don't want to get again. We want to practice social distancing, and as a Gold Horse Casino and as an organization, SIGA, we want to practice, make sure we're doing the proper things to keep everyone safe. You know, we do everything we can within regulations or to meet regulations. Again, when it comes to future, the future is unknown, but we will still do things we need to do for the safety of everyone.
And is there anything else you'd like to add for residents to know about for Gold Horse Casino during this time? Like anything going on?
Go to our website at goldhorsecasino.ca, or they can go to siga.ca. We have our mascot, Lucky Bucky. He's actually on we have posted some videos on Facebook and it might be on Instagram as well about what we do as a casino in regards to safety measures. So you'll see Lucky Bucky on there showing what we have on the floor, like things like our hand sanitizers, what we do, signage, floor directionals. So you'll see on those websites, you'll see Lucky Bucky, and it's kind of cute. So we take pride in what we do here as an organization and what we do at Gold Horse. Again, we will make changes as things change. As things evolve, we will evolve.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me here today, Roger, and best of luck to the Gold Horse Casino and SIGA in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Joining us today is Dave Woods, the sensei over at Noralta Jiu-Jitsu. Now, Dave, I know you guys are getting ready to open very, very soon here. So just take us through the couple of months that you guys were closed during the pandemic.
Absolutely. Well, we got the information from Health Canada in the middle of March. March 17th was the day that we had to shut our doors. And we really were just kept in limbo for the better part of 2 to 3 months. And then come June, mid to late June, we were given the okay to just do like one-on-one, very limited type instructions. So I opened it up to my existing students. If they wanted to, they can come out for a 1 hour lesson with me, one-on-one. And then I had half-hour spaces in between where I could do my cleaning and disinfecting in between. And then that carried on until we finally got the okay from Lloydminster so that we can open up in phase 4, and that starts in September. So September 1st is when we are going to open our doors again with, again, limited numbers per class. We were only allowed a maximum of 12 per class. And so that's what we're sort of focusing on right now, is to sign up on the registration days. We're going to put the names down in the slots that they're asking for. And then once they hit 12, that slot is now taken up.
Talk about the excitement there, Dave, because I know there's probably a lot of parents and students that are really excited for the studio to back open. So just talk about how excited you are.
Well, it's definitely, I'm getting a lot of interest. My students have been chomping at the bit for quite a while to get back into it. I've been chomping at the bit for quite a while to get back onto the mats to get teaching again. And so we're very excited to get going in September. And again, with the interest that I'm getting, plus all the new inquiries for students, new students, it's going to be good. Again, it's not going to be without its challenges for sure, but we're going to be as prepared as we can. And again, I'm just really looking forward to getting back into teaching the students and just watching them learn, watching the excitement on their faces, and still try to keep as safe as we can while doing that.
What are some of the protocols that are going to be taking place now at the studio? I know with martial arts, it's a bit of a different sport compared to most. You can actually kind of spread yourself out a little bit more. So what are some of the cleaning protocols that you're going to have now at the studio?
Yes, for sure. The fact that we're a close quarter combat school, again, raises the challenge of hygiene. So we're being very stringent and very strict, I should say, with our cleaning protocols. We're making sure that the students are washing their hands or disinfecting their hands before they come into class. We're obviously doing all of the protocols as temperature checks. We're doing the questionnaire every class. And if anybody has any signs or symptoms of anything, sniffles, or whatever, they're going to be excused from the class until they're better. And then at the end of every class, all the students are going to participate in cleaning the mats for the next class. So the protocol now is going to be that half of the students with gloves and disinfectant rags on their hands and knees are going to be wiping from left to right all the way down the mat. And then once they're off the mat, then they can go home. The other half of the class is going to be following them from left to right with drying rags, and they're going to dry the mats. And then once they're off the mat, then they're free to go home. Then the next group comes on and we do it all again.
And lastly, Dave, what are some of the dates that people can go register if they want to sign up?
So registration is in person. It's going to be August 28th, 29th, and 30th from 2 p.m. until 7 p.m. I'll be there. We have new waiver forms that we have to fill out for the COVID issue. So we had to add that into it. So this is why returning students and new students all have to come in physically. And we're at a maximum of 12 students per class, and it's going to be first come, first serve. So the 28th, 29th, and 30th are going to be our registration days. And from what I'm hearing, a lot of the classes are going to fill up quick. So the sooner you can get there, the better. And I also forgot to mention that part of our protocol too, with hand hygiene, is they're going to wash their hands before class, because we have 2 hand washing stations in the dojo. So they're going to wash their hands before class. They're going to wash their hands in the middle of class. And then with the before the disinfecting, they're going to wash their hands, throw their gloves on, and clean the floors. And while they're doing that, I'm going to be cleaning the door handles, light fixtures, and everything that was touched. And that's kind of like the new protocol. So our hour class is going to be probably about 50 minutes with the last 10 minutes of cleaning. And yeah, so the dojo is located at 5008 50th Street in Lloydminster. It's right beside Artistic Dance. So if you are familiar with that area, come on down. Right across the street also is another workout place there called Determined Boot Camp. So we're right in that area, and really with our signs, you can't really miss us.
Well, Dave, I really appreciate your time. Thanks a lot for joining us, and best of luck to when you open up again.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, Connor, for having me on.
All right, taking one last look here at your weather forecast. This is what we could see for tomorrow. 21 degrees around our area here, including in Maidstone, Vermilion, Marwayne, Bonnyville, and St. Paul. We'll see 23 degrees out in Edmonton with 22 degrees for North Battleford tomorrow, and then 23 for both Provost and Macklin. And also we'll see 21s in Green Lake and Meadow Lake as well as Vegreville and Wainwright will see 22 degrees as well. So here's what we could see for the 7-day forecast. There is a possibility we could get some showers as well tonight. We have, of course, had those clouds throughout the day as well. A little bit of showers as well earlier, like in the later parts of the afternoon. But as we take a look into Friday, we'll have some sunny skies there with a little bit of clouds at 21 degrees, 19 on Saturday. And then as we get into Sunday, it'll be a little bit cooler, sitting at 14 degrees, 16 degrees on Monday with some increased cloud coverage there. And then we get 19 degrees for Tuesday as well. And then 16 for Wednesday with 17 degrees for Thursday with some cloud coverage. We also could have a 40% chance of some showers on Monday.
Thanks for joining us on Primetime Local News. Have a great night.